This your boy Manning, and this is Talking Sports with Manny. Let's get it. Yes, a change has definitely come. The Ron RivEra era is finally here. HTTR. Ever wanted to make a podcast but never really knew how? Well, Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. There's a creation tool that allows you to record right from your phone or computer, and as well as editing as well. Anchor will distribute your podcast to places such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can also monetize from your podcast. You can download the Anchor app for free at the App Store, or you can go to anchor.fm to get started. So who is Ron RivEra? Ron RivEra, a.k.a. Riverboat Ron. So his career began back in 1997 when he joined the Bears as a quality control coach. Then he joined the Philadelphia Eagles as a linebackers coach back in 1999, and then rejoined the Bears as a defensive coordinator in 2004. Made an appearance in the Super Bowl with the Bears. Then he joined the San Diego Chargers as a linebackers coach in 2007. Serving as their defensive coordinator. In 2011, he became the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, where he and Cam Newton led them to a Super Bowl in Super Bowl 50. Unfortunately, they lost that year, but that particular season, he had an amazing 15-1 record. So Ron RivEra is a very good coach, and what I like most about him is that he's a no-nonsense coach. He doesn't play around, and that's what the Redskins have been needing. So the Ron RivEra era is officially here. Some of the players on the Redskins that are free agents that are most likely not coming back, guys like Tony Bergstrom, Michael Burton, Aaron Colvin, Eric Flowers obviously signed with the Miami Dolphins. Trayvon Hester, Case Keenum signed with the Browns. Colt McCoy with the Giants. Donald Penn, he's still a free agent. He wants to come back, but we're trying to figure out what's going to happen with the Trent situation and know if we're going vet or if we're going draft. But I believe that the Skins will sign an offensive tackle after the draft, depending on how the draft goes. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, I don't think he's coming back. Wendell Smallwood and Chris Thompson. Now, I'm going to get into the free agents that we've signed. Chris Thompson is definitely not coming back. The returning players that we have coming back are John Bostic, linebacker, Caleb Brantley, who adds to that already stacked defensive line, Nate Orchard, and Brandon Sheriff with the franchise tag. Now, we're going to dive into the players that we did sign via free agency. But before I get into that, Redskins Twitter is always going crazy. Redskins Twitter is pretty hype, man. They're definitely have me talking, definitely have the fan base talking. Last season, after a 3-13 season, it was terrible. But we got to see the young guys like Haskins and Harmon, Sims, and McLaurin really flourish, especially towards the end of the season. Haskins and Sims came on very strong. So being that Ron RivEra is now the head coach, and in his first season, with everything that's going on, is there going to be a camp? Is there not going to be a camp? He went on and traded a 5th round pick for Kyle Allen. Now, when he made this trade, fans were upset. Oh, Kyle Allen, why would you trade a 5th round pick for Kyle Allen? Well, this is why. Kyle Allen has been in Ron RivEra's system. Okay. He had a decent year last year. Not a great season, not a bad season, but for a young quarterback, he really showed strides last year. There was a span where he went 4-0, where people were really saying that Kyle Allen was going to be the future of the Carolina Panthers while Cam Newton was out. Now, he went on to have not as good of a season as he was having early on. But what I'm trying to say is Kyle Allen, he's an experienced backup quarterback who knows Ron Rivera's system. So let's say that training camp doesn't happen or it's a shortened training camp. Cal knows the system. Bringing Cal in gives us assurance that Haskins is the guy. Now, the job is Haskins' job, but it's Haskins' job to lose. Cal will definitely try to pour in as much knowledge as he can to Haskins to help him, get better this season. Then the Redskins went on and signed Peyton Barber. A lot of people were shocked when this move happened because you already have Adrian Peterson, Darius Geis, Bryce Love, okay? And then they also signed J.D. McKissick. So with the signing of J.D. McKissick, he is expected to be the third down back, so no more Chris Thompson. Now, with the signing of Peyton Barber, he's been the starter for Tampa Bay the last 2 years, and he's been their leading rusher. Yeah, the numbers haven't been great, but he is a quality back. What I see with this signing is more so insurance policy, just in case Geis or Love is not healthy enough. In my opinion, I don't think that Peyton Barber makes the team if Geis or Love are healthy. A lot of guys are down on Geis, he's been hurt the last 2 years, and is he ever going to be healthy? Well, Geis has a lot of talent, and what we saw in the snippets of games that he did play last season was that when he is healthy, he can be one of the very best backs in the NFL. So fingers crossed, we're hoping that Geis is healthy this season. If he's healthy, I'm expecting big things from him, but I believe that Adrian Peterson will start out the season as the RB1. Then Geis can push for that number 2 position. But keep an eye out for Bryce Love when healthy. He was a Heisman Trophy finalist a few years ago. It's just that, he's been injured, and Redskins traded back last year to acquire more picks, then to draft him. They felt that his potential was great being in the 4th round. Some fans thought, hey, they reached, but I actually like the pick. And if he does get healthy and return to the form that he had while he was in college, that'll be a nice steal in last year's draft. Redskins also signed safety Sean Davis for $5 million 1 year. A lot of people were upset that the approach that the Redskins have taken in this free agency. I've heard a lot of people call it the bargain movement. I've heard Redskins are shopping at the dollar store, But the good thing about this new group and front office is that whatever the Redskins are doing, they know there are no leaks. You don't hear about trades or moves or things in the media. They're keeping things tight. But yeah, back to Sean Davis, man. Free safety, young player. He became expendable when Minkah Fitzpatrick came in, and he's been hurt the last season. He's very athletic. He's a hard hitter. People say that he's a bad tackler, but if you go look at the numbers, you don't get all these tackles being a bad tackler. Yes, he takes bad angles, but depending on what happens in the draft, I do expect Sean Davis to be the starting free safety. Then Ron Rivera went and brought in a guy that he trusts and that he's worked with for numerous years, in Thomas Davis Sr., linebacker. He had over 100 tackles last year with the Chargers. And he can still play, even at his age right now. Then we brought back a familiar face, Kendall Fuller. Fans love Kendall Fuller. After winning the Super Bowl, he knew that his heart was, in DC. So when he got that call, he said, say no more. Where do I sign? So he signed a 4-year deal for $40 million. That's pretty good for a corner of his caliber. A lot of guys say, oh, Kendall is a slot corner. He played a lot of safety with Kansas City, so he can move all around. So I expect Kendall Fuller to be on the outside this season. He is going to be the CB1, obviously. We're going to see what else happens in the draft as well. We traded away Quentin Dunbar for a 5th-round pick to the Seattle Seahawks. It was a lot of dispute between him and the front office, and I don't like the way that he went about everything. Had he been patient, played out the season, and then maybe get a contract. But on his end, I understand, playing a season and not having guarantee on your future or money with injuries. Well, injuries is part of the reason why the Redskins didn't give him a extension. They want to see, can he play 16 games? Can he play close to 12, 14 games? What does his body look like? How does this play? How does he fit the system? So one thing I like about Ron is that Ron doesn't take no crap from anybody. He's not going to be bullied by players. Speaking of players bullying, you got the Trent Williams situation. Man, I'm just sick and tired of it. I'm just ready for this to be over with. It's going to be interesting because last season it was rumored that we had a couple of first-round offers for Trent Williams, but Bruce Allen didn't take them. And, as this drags on, his value has gone from first rounder to a second rounder to, in my opinion, right now, what the market is saying is 3rd round. There are fans that are saying, oh, you can get more for Trent. Well, Redskins also added Wes Switzer, guard from the Falcons. Then Redskins added Logan Thomas, tight end. He was a former quarterback at Virginia Tech. When I look at this guy, he's massive. He has the makings of an athletic tight end. He just needs some playing time. And you hear about these tight ends that played basketball, or like a guy like Darren Waller, very athletic, got into the right system. He had a lot of obstacles to overcome before breaking out last year with the Oakland Raiders. But a guy like Gruden was able to see him, kind of see how he can fit into a system, and then, it panned out. I'm not saying that Logan Thomas is going to have that kind of leap this season, but he's definitely an intriguing guy to have, being that your TE1 right now is Jeremy Sprinkles. I think a lot of Redskins fans will take anybody over Jeremy Sprinkles. With the loss of Vernon Davis and Jordan Reed, tight ends is one of the biggest needs that the Redskins have. They also signed Richie Rogers. He's more known for that Hail Mary catch that Aaron Rodgers threw. And he caught it. And, other than that, that one season, he had a good season catching 8 touchdowns. But after that one season that he hasn't really done much. He's been injured the last couple years. But, one thing I can say is that Ron really got guys that are hungry for an opportunity, guys that want to prove themselves. And a lot of these guys are pretty much on a 1-year deal. Then next year, they should have $140 million in cap to do some damage with. So I think that, obviously the Redskins went after Amari Cooper. They offered 110 million for 5 years, but Amari Cooper chose to go back to Dallas for less money, and he had that connection with Dak Prescott, and obviously the Dallas. I almost said Mavericks. The Dallas Cowboys are in the win mode now, so it made sense for him. And when we do play him, we're gonna kick his tail. But also heard Redskins went after Austin Hooper tough, and Austin Hooper was talking about when he got offers, it was between the Browns and the Redskins. Now, somebody choosing the Browns over the Redskins is a slap in the face to Redskins Nation. But, the way that the Browns are set up, with their offensive talents and weapons that they've surrounded Baker Mayfield with, is make or break for them. But obviously, Hooper took more money to go to the Browns. I believe that the Browns probably offered more. And one thing that Ron has done is, if Ron says he's going to offer you a certain amount, he doesn't go over his budget. So I like the discipline. In years past, Redskins will pay tons of free agents to have a mediocre season, and then fans will be pissed that, Redskins gave all this money to these free agents. They're overpaid, free agents that didn't work out. Prime example, Paul Richardson, bad signing, so on and so forth. So this season that Ron RivEra went after the couple guys that he wanted, the big fishes, so to speak. After going after those guys and missing out, Ron RivEra didn't really see anybody worth that kind of money. The free agent market for wide receivers wasn't strong. There were a lot of vets, a lot of young vets, and Amari Cooper. So, and this draft is coming up is filled with tons of talent with the wide receivers. We're going to get into the draft in a minute. But overall, I like the moves that the Redskins have made. Not splashy moves, solid moves. The contracts are excellent because if these players don't pan out, then, they can get cut before the season starts. Ron wants players that are hungry. He's setting a culture. That's why Dunbar's not here. Ron wants you to be all in or all out. There's no in between. The Trent situation will get handled soon. He will get traded. If not this season, then, he'll get to walk. The way that I look at the Trent situation is, if Trent leaves after the season, right, Redskins can get a comp pick for him, but it all depends on who we sign, and there's a whole formula. I'm not going to get into that. So Trent can obviously walk, and we gain nothing. Or we can trade Trent to the highest bidder, get what you can, and cut your losses. Because at this point, the longer this drags out, the worse it gets. People are saying, oh, well, let's wait till after training camp, if there is going to be one. Or let's wait till after preseason, if there's going to be one. Or let's wait as we get closer to the season, injuries come up, maybe then you trade them. That's a gamble in itself right there. I believe that a deal gets done before the draft, but fans might not be happy with the compensation that's to come. So as it stands right now on offense, QB1 is obviously Haskins. RB1, in my opinion, is Adrian Peterson. Wide receiver 1, Terry McLaurin. Steal. He was a steal of the draft last year. This guy's going to be a superstar. Wide receiver 2, Kelvin Harmon, that we got in the 6th round last year. And wide receiver 3 is Steven Sims Jr., undrafted free agent. It'll be very intriguing to see if Sims is playing in a slot this year or playing outside. We're going to get into that. But as of right now, Sims is the wide receiver 3. Logan Thomas will be the tight end 1. Morgan Moses will start at the right tackle. Sheriff at the right guard. Roulier at the center. Wes Martin at the left guard. I believe that he will beat out the other West. And Cornelius Lucas at the left tackle. That's another name that I didn't really talk about as part of the signings. But this guy right here is massive. He's 6'9", I believe. I think around 340 pounds. Some people say that he's soft. I've seen some clips. I think he has potential. He has size. He's quick. Obviously, we're not ready to trade Trent. So, I mean, as of right now, he is the starting left tackle. You got Grion out there, but I don't know. He'll battle it out. And whoever else that we draft. This draft is going to be deep in several positions, and wide receiver and tackle are some of those positions. So I'm hoping that we draft a tackle or two, because we need a tackle or two. So now let's get into the draft a little bit. I'm not the draft expert. I will be doing a draft pod next week, but in this up and coming draft, I think the biggest need for this team is tackles. When I say tackles, more than one, because obviously our right tackle is not strong. Fans are sick and tired of Morgan Moses. He's overpaid and under delivering on the production. So there's tons of tackles out there. There is no clear cut number one, but it's all about preference. So there's a situation where a very good tackle could drop to the third, maybe fourth round, because there's so many. But you got to get the guy that fits your system and your scheme. That's what the theme of this draft is going to be. You're going to see receivers that have all the talent get drafted to a team, but don't fit the scheme. And they end up not, performing to their full potential. But I'm looking at a receiver this year that's maybe 6'3" and up, a big-bodied receiver with some speed, a receiver that can play obviously outside, possession receiver, maybe a yards after the catch kind of guy, maybe a guy that can jump like crazy. Hopefully somebody athletic. But the problem is, after picking number 2, the next pick is in the third round at pick 66. So, it's, very tough to know which direction you want to go in. I believe that Ron is going to do what's best for the team. And Kyle has been killing it the last few drafts. After pick 66, there's pick 108 and 142, 162, then 216 and 229. So every pick is going to be important. At pick 66, do you get a tackle? What tackles are available? Are the tackles available good enough to be, picked at 66? Do you get the best available tight end? Does a tight end fit your scheme? You need a wide receiver. As much as I like Harmon, I believe that we should get one, maybe two more receivers and continue to build. Because after missing out on a big receiver like Amari Cooper, yes, there's more receivers coming out next year, but what would their age be? Are they guys that fit the system? He's all about players that fit your system. Talent is good, but chemistry is everything. So at pick 66, I expect the Redskins to trade back, maybe pick up an extra fourth, and I see them again trading back in the fourth to pick up an extra fifth and a sixth round. I think rounds 4 through 6 is going to be very vital. That's going to be the sweet spot. That's going to be the spot where you see the Redskins pick up an extra tackle, pick up a receiver or two, pick up a tight end. So rounds 4 to 6 is going to be very, very, very vital. I see the Redskins taking Chase Young. It's Chase Young or nothing. Take the best player in the draft. Don't overthink it. I've been seeing fans saying, hey, trade back and Miami's going to give you the 5, 18, and 30, whatever. If Miami traded away assets, right, to acquire those picks, they got rid of Tunsil and got rid of Fitzpatrick. I don't see them packaging those to trade up to get Tua. At the end of the day, Miami might not be a very good team at the end of next year. Why not go after Trevor Lawrence? If they don't get the quarterback that they want at 5, why not draft other positions like offensive linemen and defensive linemen and, other positions, continue building the team, and then maybe go for a quarterback next year. So it's not a lock that Miami trades up for Tua, but anything is possible. But the draft has lots of receivers. There's tons of them. And you never know who's going to drop. Like last year, DK Metcalf was projected to go in the first round, right? And he went pick 60 something. He almost went third round. So maybe a receiver that's very good and, that has first round grade falls to the third. And hopefully we get him. I'm just praying for a big receiver that can kind of do different things apart from Terry McLaurin. But if we do get a smaller guy that can play outside or inside, then, maybe move Steve Sims outside. But there's definitely going to be lots of possibilities. There's some promising tight ends in this draft. I'm not going to name any. I'm trying not to name any prospects that I think that the Redskins are going to draft, because every year we do our mock drafts and, then when you look at the actual draft, it doesn't look the same. It's like, so I'm not going to speculate. Like the mock drafts are fun, but they're just mocks. Last year's draft, you saw players go high. You saw players go low. You saw players that were first round grades go second and vice versa. So I'm not going to speculate, but what I am going to say is that we do need a tackle. We do need a tight end. We do need a wide receiver. We do need a safety. We need a lot of things. We need a corner. So it's going to be very interesting. And then what happens on defense? So say we get Chase Young, right? We get Chase Young. Then you have Payne and you have Allen on the insides. Then you have Sweat on the outside. That's a solid defensive line right there. In the 4-3 with Chase Young and Montez Sweat on the other side, that's crazy. Then you got Big Matt in the middle substituting for Payne and Allen. Then you have Settle, Brantley. You have all these other D tackles. And then you have Ryan Kerrigan backing up Chase. You have Ryan Anderson backing up Sweat. And I mean, that D line is just nice. And that's going to be the strength of the team. And I've always said, when your D line is that good, you don't need top of the line corners. So, we're going to see Fabe out there fighting for that number 2 spot. We acquired Ronald Darby. At first, when we made that pick, I wasn't excited about it, but I've come to be okay with it. I saw him get burnt a lot last year, but let's see what he does with a Jack Del Rio coached defense, with Ron RivEra's mind. I expect the defense to be very good. Let's see what Sean Davis does. It's just good to see new faces. We got rid of Monte Nicholson. I was getting sick of him. So let's just see what this new group does. Let's see what the team looks like after the draft. But one thing is for certain is that Ron is going to build this team the way that he wants to build a team. He's going to create the culture that he wants to see. And let's see if this approach works. We have spent money over the years, and no playoffs some years, no wins some years. So this year, he just want to build a team from the ground up, and we'll see what happens. Thank you guys for listening. Shout out to everybody who's been supporting me from the beginning. I appreciate you guys. Follow me on social media on Talking Sports with Manny, TS with Manny on Twitter and IG. Let's get it.